Jamie, you didn't put your cover back on your washer. This shit is unacceptable. Hey guys, it's Ben at the Neighborhood Plumber, and we're back at the job to do this set out from the previous job where we roughed everything in. Perfect. We're gonna put this faucet in, hook everything up underneath, check it out. All right guys, so we're gonna get this install started. They've got these new countertops in. We've got one hole for our faucet. We've got a beautiful sink. We'll need our basket strainer. Underneath, we've got it all prepped. Everything is roughed in. We've got our HoldRite fixture boxes. Gonna make it super easy. We'll take this cap off. We don't have to shut off any water. We don't have to crimp any piping or disturb really anything else in the property. So we'll grab a couple of our things. We'll get this faucet in, get our drain hooked up, and get this thing rocking and rolling. We've got a basket strainer and we've got our faucet. I always set the paperwork to the side to give to the customer, check the box, make sure we've got everything. We've got our integrated supply lines, so we should be ready to rock and roll. So on these HoldRite fixture outlet boxes, you're gonna get two trim plates, two sizes. You get the wide trim plate or a narrow trim plate. They do also come in chrome or white. So those are the two color options, and these are the two size options, which the big plate is actually significantly larger, so they work out pretty good. So we'll hop down here and take off these boxes. These caps are trash, or you can save them for souvenirs, and these will basically thread on. You'll line them up around your valve, and they will just thread on. The cabinet installer on this one did a bad job cutting the cabinet, so we do have a little bit of overlay. So I've threaded those on, our stops are on. Now all we've got to do is drop our faucet in and hook up our supply lines to our stops, and we'll be in it. On this drain line, I'm gonna go ahead and put on a 2-inch collar and put some silicone just to center it. And then we'll get started on our faucet. Just hold that there. All right. Let's go ahead and drop this faucet in and get everything hooked up. I always like to kind of give a visual inspection, make sure everything is good. All looks good. We'll take these pieces off. They're gonna go underneath, tighten up to the countertop base. This gasket keeps it from wanting to slide. And then we've also got a foam gasket around our discussion for our faucet. We want the name facing us. So we'll go ahead and guide all this stuff through. You can center everything up. All right, so now I'm gonna go underneath. This will go gasket first, then metal ring, and then we'll use this tightening bracket, and then these screws will come out. When you take it off, just back them out. You don't want them tightened up already. We'll lay under here and guide them around all our hoses. And then we'll come up here. I always get it as tight as I can, then I'll make sure my faucet's good and lined up, and then I'll come snug it with the Phillips head. All right. Make sure this is straight. And then we'll get under here. So she's all tight. Now we can put our weight on. Normally your pull-out sprayers are gonna have a mark of where we want this weight. So we'll clip this bracket over our tube, and then our weight will slide down and lock down on it. This will help guide our faucet back in. So when you pull it out, it'll guide back in. And this is going to be a quick connect. So underneath, we're gonna make one quick connection. You'll hear it click. She clicked. We'll go ahead and hook up our water lines. I like to make a little loop when there's a lot of slack. Now these have little gaskets in them and screens. You want to go hand tight and a little tighter. If you torque these down with a wrench, you will damage that gasket and they will leak. So only want to go hand tight with them, or a little past hand tight. So these faucets actually have integrated supply lines, which mean they're built into the faucet. Normally they're gonna come a specific length, and they may or may not reach. If they don't reach, you'll have to get an extension. If they do reach, you're good. But they also have faucets that don't have integrated supply lines, and in which case you'll need to know the distance from your stop to the bottom of the faucet, and you always want to allow for a couple of inches. You don't want your supply line stretched or pulled tight. So I've got the water on now, and our supply lines are leak free and good to go. Now we can move on to our basket strainer. So we've got a basket strainer that has a couple of gaskets, a nut, a tailpiece extension. So kind of a quick, easy setup. Manufacturers have tried to simplify everything for the plumbers. So no more plumber's putty. You don't need to get any other fittings. We've got a one-piece basket strainer with an integrated foam gasket. So pretty easy. We're just gonna drop this into the sink. We wanna center it up. We'll take our ridged gasket and our nut. Same thing, we wanna go hand tight and then a little tighter. Come on, Nelly. We'll snug this up a little tighter. And we should be good. Basket strainer is installed. All right, guys, I want to talk to you about Eastman and a couple of the products they have. So this is the Eastman 1.5" P-trap, and this is the Eastman 1.5" P-trap trap adapter. We're going to be using both of these today, so I'll talk a little bit more about these later. But Eastman also has 1.25" P-traps, 1.25" trap adapter. They've got the accordion style extension tubes. They've also got 1.5" extensions, tailpiece extensions. So you can get a lot of different Eastman tubular drain fittings. So you guys check them out and see if they've got something that can help on your next project. So we're gonna get down here, we're gonna get this trap adapter installed and get our P-trap installed. So the first thing we're gonna have to do is install our trap adapter. So we'll rip this thing open. Our trap adapter is what we're gonna glue on to our PVC pipe. If you're working with 2" or 1.5", 1.25", then you know this could vary in size. I'm gonna go ahead and cut my 1.5" PVC about 4 or 5 inches off the back of the wall and glue my trap adapter on. One thing I'll mention with your trap adapter, it is meant to connect to your drain arm or trap arm for your P-trap. You do not need to have that much pipe shoved through your trap adapter. If this is right at the wall, then you wouldn't want to shove that much pipe into the back of the wall because it's going to be 90ing. So at minimum, have an 1.5" or 2 inches of pipe in your trap adapter. Let's see if I can fit in here. Just like that. Because we are using PVC, we are going to prime our trap adapter and prime our pipe. Primer is a very, very, very thin liquid, and it stains and splashes and can make a big mess. So always, always be careful if you're using primer. A nice thin layer of glue is all you need. And then we'll push this on. Always push it on, twist it a half a turn and hold it. Now that our Eastman trap adapter is glued on, we can go ahead and mess with our P-trap. Now, if this trap adapter would have been this far to the wall, our trap arm would have been too short. So we'll go ahead and open this. Make sure all our pieces are here. The Eastman 1.5" P-trap set is also going to come with an 1.5" by 1.25" gasket. This would be used if you were hooking up to a bathroom sink. So if you get this Eastman kit and you do not use this gasket, don't worry about it. Or if you're using it for a bathroom and need it, it will come in the kit. Our beveled end is what's going to connect to the back of your P-trap. This is what will come to your sink, and this is what will go to your drain. So this is how this P-trap would be installed. You do not need a gasket around this beveled piece. It's compression and tightens up. We will need our nut and gasket for our trap adapter, which will go to the back of our trap arm. So we've got one nut on our trap arm that's gonna connect to our P-trap. And it's gonna go to the front. This nut will go to the back to connect to our trap arm. So I'm gonna slide this piece into our trap adapter so we can line everything up, and I'll just hand tighten it to hold it into place. I'll snug this up to get my measurement for my extension. And that looks like it's pretty lined up with everything. So now we can make an extension. Perfect. We'll grab our other nut and our 1.5" gasket. We're gonna take our extension and slide our nut on, slide our beveled gasket. Your gasket, it's skinny and then fatter. We want it beveled going towards the fitting we're gonna tighten up to. And this is beveled here. When these butt up, that gasket will create that seal, and we'll tighten this nut down to make it all tight. So I'm going to put my nut and beveled gasket on this extension that came with our basket strainer. We'll line everything up, tighten up on the back side of my P-trap to the trap arm. This time I'll get it tight. I'll tighten this nut up back here. We'll tighten these nuts. So basically now all of our nuts can be a little past hand tight. None of these you need to put any tools on. You just hand tighten all of these. They're all compression, so just hand tight will tighten everything up. Now here's our sprayer that I told you about that I want to make sure doesn't get snagged. I've went to a few homes where the customer pulled this out and snapped their water line under their sink. So you always want to verify that this is gonna do what it's supposed to do and not get stuck. We're just gonna twist that out of the way to ensure nothing is hitting it. We're gonna go ahead and turn the water on and test everything. So let's see if I've passed. We're gonna bump it on. So anytime I install a new sink, I always set some paper towels under here, just so the customer can keep an eye on everything. If you get a leak on a cabinet like this and they put a door on and it leaked, just a couple of drops, it can stain the bottom of the cabinet and mess it up. So it's something you want to keep an eye on, even if you are that good. And I'm going to put a bead of silicone around this basket strainer just to keep this nut from ever wanting to come loose. And this is just a touch I do. Most plumbers don't do this, but I've went to many calls where this just over time came loose. So I put a little silicone just to help hold it and prevent that from never happening. It's not gonna stop it from leaking. The gaskets do that, but it'll keep it from ever coming loose. I've let the water run. Now I'm gonna fill up the sink and do a pressure test where we run as much water as we can get in this sink and ensure that we don't have any leaks. So we'll let this thing fill up and then we'll pull the drain, make sure all is good, and then we will wrap it up. The sink is full. Let's let it drain and see what it does. It looks like that is gonna be a wrap. All right, guys, we've got the drain in, we filled the sink up, we've done our pressure test, we've checked everything. Everything is good, leak-free, cleaned up. So I think that about wraps it up. We will see you guys on the next one.